Hello, my name's Derek Yates. I'm the course leader for advertising and branding at Ravensbourne, but I'm also talking about all of the courses within design practice. I think this talk is really designed to give you an overview of all of our different courses and really for you to understand our approach. I think our approach is an interesting one and hopefully is one of the reasons why you'll end up coming to enroll with us in September. So design practice at Ravensbourne, there's our beautiful campus on the screen now. So first of all, to give you some news really, we have recently announced that we've changed our name. Our name is now Ravensbourne University London. We have power now to write our own degrees, and we have the academic status in the UK of a top-level university. So we've changed our name. The name is now Ravensbourne University London, and we've got a copy line, and as somebody from advertising, I appreciate a good end line, and our end line is design for industry. And I think at the end of the webinar, hopefully you'll appreciate why we've chosen to choose that title. Our courses are designed with industry in mind. Employability is sort of central to our message, and we prepare people to get a job. I think it's sort of central to our mission, really. So today, the other thing about Ravensbourne is that Ravensbourne is London's, I think maybe the UK's only university that specialises in media and design. And obviously, I'm going to talk to you about design. So I work in the area of design practice, and today I'm going to run through our courses and talk to you about our approach. So this is another shot of our campus. So welcome to design practice at Ravensbourne. So the first thing to say about us is that we are situated in the heart of one of the world's design hubs, really. We're a global creative hub, and we're right in the middle of it, next to the O2, opposite Canary Wharf, in the centre of London. So the thing about London is that London is one of the world leaders in design and communication, and our industries are driving global innovation. So there's a little film.
Hola, me llamo Mimi. I love London.
So that gives you a little taste of London. It's also a piece of design, a really interesting piece of design that was developed by RGA Studios based in London, and it's a digital product. So it encompasses product design, but it's also a marketing tool. It's a piece of advertising. It's also a piece of branding, and it also incorporates graphic design through user experience. So that product brings together, it shows you the power of a lot of our courses and the things that you'll learn within that course, and totally change the face of marketing and advertising globally, really. So studios like RGA are transforming the creative disciplines and defining new ways of working. I think the great thing about being in London is that the studios in London are changing the industry, and so you will be at the forefront of new developments in the industries that you want to go and work in, which is fantastic. So this is a project I had the pleasure of being part of, and it was developed as part of 1.0's Adventures in Motion, on the South Bank, and it really demonstrates, this is quite an old piece of work, 2009, how our industries are moving. So that was developed by Wieden & Kennedy. Wieden & Kennedy are a company that we work with. We have students who are now alumni working at Wieden & Kennedy. I'll talk to you about one of those students later on in the presentation. And also, I, in a former life, ran the education program that went with the 1.0 Adventures in Motion Festival, and it demonstrates how, you know, in an area like graphic design, we used to design logos that were static on a printed page. But in London, in the industries that we connect with, those logos have become live, generative pieces of interaction. This is another company that we have very close links with. They were actually in yesterday working with my first year students. And this is their showreel, and it just demonstrates how contemporary design companies work in a place like London.
Be able to see them live on the internet. And yes, Ben, is that you we see out there looking rather chilly?
I hope so. Can you see us okay?
Yeah, we'll see and hear you very well indeed. Now, where are you exactly?
We're on the western side of the Gobi Desert, just on the edge of the Bogs Mountains in Outer Mongolia.
So yesterday, students from the branding and advertising course presented to the creative director at Moving Brands, first year students, and 3 of our students were given placements. So we work with companies like moving brands very closely. We also work with a studio called Us2. Us2 are a digital product studio. They're one of the UK's fastest growing digital product studios. They work for companies like Land Rover, Channel 4, Sky, lots of different big brands. We have an ongoing relationship with Us2. Us2 design digital products. They design user interactions. They also created a game called Monument Valley, which maybe some of you have played. It'd be interesting to see how many of you have played Monument Valley. Monument Valley 2 is currently number 2 in Apple's mobile games charts. But you can see there that the game had 12 million downloads, $20 million revenue, and won 2 BAFTAs. So they're a really interesting company, and we work very closely with them. And they have friends in high places. So you can see there Mills, who visit the college in February alongside Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. So we have links with some very, very good companies. So we partner with these companies, and I think that's the interesting approach at Ravensbourne, is our approach is partnered. We build links with interesting agencies, and they feed directly into our student experience. And all of this ensures our students' work is relevant to evolving industry practice. So not where the industry is now, where the industry is going. And I think that's a very important thing for us. So I've got an example, a little case study here of how we work with industry. And this is students from the graphic design course took part in this project. Motion graphics took part in this project. It began within the advertising and branding course, but and again, our approach is cross-disciplinary, so lots of the different courses took part in this project. Anyway, here we go. So first thing we did was we challenged our Year 2 students to create a visual identity, name and an awareness strategy for a conference that we set up with Lecture in Progress. Lecture in Progress are an offshoot of It's Nice That, which is the UK's leading creative blog. Visit it if you haven't seen it already. It's a really good place to get inspiration for your creative work. This is the Hudson Beck group, which It's Nice That is part of, and also Lecture in Progress. You can sign up to Lecture in Progress. This is Lecture in Progress. Oops, sorry. This is Lecture in Progress. This is a little walkthrough of their website. Their website exists really to support students going into the creative industries, and we've worked with them to give our students the most up-to-date knowledge of what the creative industries is like. There's stories from different artists that are involved in the creative industries. There's a directory of sort of reference material that you can look at, and lots of up-to-date inspiration and practical guidance for how you might go into developing a career in our creative industries. So we're friends with Lecture in Progress. They come in and work with our students. So we decided to do a conference with them. The CEO of It's Nice That came in, did a workshop with our students. His name's Will Hudson, hence Hudson Beck. There's Will in the middle. Our students presented their ideas to Will in the It's Nice That studios, and then we developed a brand for a conference, and the conference was called Untitled Emerging Landscapes for Creative Communication. This is the conference. This is me at the conference. We open the conference out to schools and colleges in the London area, but also to students from across all of the different courses at Ravensbourne, and particularly students from design practice attended that conference. And here's a little short film about the conference. So you can see there that Mills, who is one of the founders of Us Too, who I talked to you about earlier, he took part in the conference. We had a very nice tweet from Mills talking about the students' work at the conference, and you could also see that we had a creative who's an ex-student from Ravensbourne who works at Wieden and Kennedy inputting into the conference. So it's a really, really good day. And as well as designing, so all of that was student work. The students created that identity and that case study, and also our students interviewed all of the practitioners at the conference. So we'll be posting these online. There's little short films of each of the practitioners, little interviews with them where they give really good advice about entering the creative industry. So that event partly builds the students' creative network. It also gives them up-to-date professional practice advice and just puts them in a really good position to enter the industry. And I think that's really what we want to do at Ravensbourne, particularly in the design practice course. So our courses, a little bit more about our courses. So I know that some of you are offer holders, and so you'll probably know a little bit about the courses already. But I'm just going to run through all of the courses we offer and just show you little snippets of work from each of those courses. But I think it's important to understand that we're part of a program which is design practice, and there's interrelationships between the different courses, and we also offer an elective program which allows you to collaborate with students from the other courses. So firstly, my baby, my course, advertising and brand design. So students from this course look at how new technologies are transforming branding, advertising and communication design. So in the first year, they do stuff like this, and this was presented to Moving Brands yesterday.
My flow drop like an earthquake, 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 earthquake. I make that ass shake, ass shake, ass shake, ass shake, ass shake, ass shake, ass shake. It's time to devastate, 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 devastate. It'll make the glass break, glass break, glass break, 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 break. Drop like an earthquake.
So that was a collaboration as well as being with Moving Brands with the O2. So that work's going to be shown in the screens around the O2 Arena, which is right next to us at Ravensbourne. Our students also won 2 D&AD awards this year. So this is third year work. D&AD, look it up. It's the internationally recognised board that looks at our discipline, and a yellow pencil, which is what these students are up for, is globally respected. So one of our students designed a cashless system for helping the homeless. That's what this is, Keepall. And another one looked at the development of a crowdsourced currency system that would help investors in countries that have volatile currencies. So very much this course is orientated around business and about how you can develop businesses out of creative ideas. So there's 2 really good examples. A BA Honours Graphic Design, Graduates from this course work in areas such as typography, editorial design, information design, wayfinding, exhibition design, creative coding, and design for promotion. So this stuff really, I mean, it's very much the traditional, traditional subject of graphic design, typography, poster design, but looking at that in a very experimental way. There's a little film about the degree show last year. Okay, so that should give you a sense of what students on graphic design do. So this is new course, Illustration for Communication. So I can't show you any work from that course because there hasn't been any work taking place yet because it's brand new. But I've got some examples from industry of the sorts of work that students will be doing. So this new and dynamic course sits at the intersection between graphic design, animation, publishing, advertising, fashion, games design, film, television, and architecture. I think the thing to understand that while graphic design is driven by typography and letter forms, illustration is driven by image making. And those images can form part of a brand. So we look at the commercial application of illustration, look at how it might relate to things like animation, app design, and this is a sort of good representation of the sorts of things that our students might do. They might design an app, they might design a character, they might build that character and that app around a brand. Then we've got product design. Product design examines how we interact with products and services in order to create a better experience for everyone. So here's a really good example of what product designers do. Okay, so that's product design, identifying a need and creating a product around that need. So UX UI design, again, this is a new course, so I can just show you industry examples, but UX UI is about challenging and multidisciplinary activities that create the overarching experience and functionality of every aspect of a product and service. So it's really looking at interface design, a lot of interface design around digital products, and looking at the user experience around that. So helping people to use things. So it looks a bit like this. So there's a bit of coding in that course, but also just looking at a little bit of graphic design, actually, you know, but that combination of graphic design skills and putting them to a very specific function, and that is to get somebody to use something. Lastly, but by no means least, motion graphics. Students on this course work with, I mean, both the tutors on this course are ex-BBC. They bring in some of the top people in the industry to work with their students, and it's a real recognised centre of excellence in this field. So motion graphics really is about developing an understanding of how both movement and time impact on design. It's creating using graphic design, using sound, using motion to get a message across is a really good example.
In order for people to live a full life, they have to have a foot in order. And that order has to be commensurate with what it is that they're attempting. So their lives are properly ordered if they have goals and the procedures they put in place to attain those goals are working. That gives them security and hope. They also have to have a foot in chaos, because part of proper being is not merely security, which is what order provides, but also the continual generative excitement that being on the edge allows. And the edge, which everyone knows about, is the edge between order and chaos. And you can tell you're there because that's when life is worth living. Surfing was sacred to the Hawaiians, because the Hawaiians could see that when a surfer mastered a wave, he was physically embodying the balance between order and chaos. The rule is you have to confront chaos and make it back into order. And you must do that, because otherwise your life becomes unbearable.
So two really nice examples of motion graphics work. I think it's fair to say that there's the level of sort of craft and expertise that these students have in their medium is certainly one of the best across the team. They also won a D&AD award this year. That was for this piece of motion graphics and packaging for Hellmann's mayonnaise. So you can see that. So it's looking at also, I mean, it's probably worth bearing in mind that motion now is a very, very important part of branding. So you create a logo, but that logo wouldn't normally move and will normally be part of a piece of motion graphics. So hopefully that gives you a really good sort of overview of the different subjects. We win lots of awards. So this year there were 4 nominations across the team for D&AD New Blood. We've won RSA Student Awards, New Designers John Lewis Award last year, being commended in the ISTD, Young Furniture Makers Award, YCN, Creative Conscience, Star Pack, etc., etc., etc. So there's lots of, I mean, these are award-winning courses. And they're part of a new university, Ravensbourne University London, London's only specialist university in design and media. Designed for industry. I actually sounded like I worked in advertising there for a minute. Okay, hello. So let's get some questions. I think that would be a good part of it. So we have a question from Autumn, who I think is listening in America. Autumn asks, what is a typical class size? I think I've worked at other famous London universities, and our student ratio is 1 to 25. So our typical class size would not go above 25 students. The way we normally work is not that simple. So, for example, in advertising and branding, we have a studio and we have around 44 students in the studio, and we will always have two members of staff in that studio. So sometimes if we're giving a lecture, we give a lecture to all of the students together. Sometimes we break the students down into smaller groups across the day to take part in workshops. We'll sometimes do one-to-one tutorials, and all of these different modes of learning are strategically planned across a unit to ensure that you have all of the skills that you need to be able to pass that unit and get the most out of that unit. Your timetable will normally be our standard is you would normally study a 30 credit unit and a 15 credit unit across a term, and that would give you contact of around 2 days for the 30 credit unit and 1 day for the 15 credit unit. So normally maximum of timetable time that you would have, i.e. contact with your tutor, would be 3 days a week. But outside of that, you get access to the building and the facilities within the building 6 days a week. And normally staff are on hand when you haven't got contact to answer questions. We have a CLR unit. We have other things going on across the week, such as rave lates, conferences like the one I spoke to you about, the Untitled conferences. We have a thing called the Factory. We have CV building workshops. We have employability support that goes on. We also have student services where you can get support. So your contact time, i.e. the time that you're standing in front of a tutor and your tutor is teaching you, is one aspect of a multifaceted learning experience that we've created into a journey across 3 years to get you to a point where you're going to be hopefully very, very employable. I did that. So Diana has also asked about how many days a week. So Diana, hopefully I've just answered that question. So normally our contact is 3 days a week. Depends on how many units you're studying at any one point. So sometimes you'll be studying 2 units, sometimes like a 15 credit and a 30 credit, which will give you 3 days a week. But there are some, I know that one of my first year's term, they have 2 days a week because they're on a 30 credit unit. I hope that's not too complicated for you. Yeah, but I think it's very important that you understand that, and I talk to my students about this all the time, that when you come in with us, it's a learning journey, and we have engineered different experiences across your year to enable you to learn, and your learning takes place partly when we're standing in front of you giving a lecture or giving you a tutorial, but actually there's a lot of learning that takes place outside of that, which is, when students are working in a studio together, that when they're working in prototyping together, when they're working down on level 4 together, or even when they're in the library and they go to the library in a group and they're talking about books that they're reading in the library or sharing their research. So I think you shouldn't see it as you're learning just as being when we are standing in front of you. When we are standing in front of you, then it's very organized and it's very structured, and we make sure that you get a very full experience in those 3 days a week. So in those 3 days a week, you need to be in and you will be given stuff to do. And you will be given opportunities to talk to your tutor throughout those 3 days a week. Hopefully that answers your question. Please let me know if it doesn't. So I've got another question from Autumn. She's very keen, obviously. So Autumn asks, why should I choose Ravensbourne over another university? Very good question. Very good question, Autumn. So Ravensbourne is, as I've said, London's only university that specialises in design and media. Ravensbourne is London's only university that specialises in design and media. We are slightly smaller than the other universities in London. We're very, very specialised towards working with industry. So design for industry is the line that we have after our it's our sort of copy line, really, and I think we aim to develop students who are ready to go into that industry. And the beginning of my presentation was really all about all of the different ways that we do that. So hopefully that answers your question, Autumn. So I've got another question from Darina. Oh, we've got a number of questions here. Darina, so this course is available. So against some of our courses, in the prospectus it says this course is available subject to validation. So we went through a process last year where we updated all of our courses. So I can speak about what we did in advertising and brand design. We used to be called digital advertising. We updated our name as advertising and brand design, and we introduced a whole new set of set of units that related specifically to industry practice, and we worked with moving brands. So you saw the presentation for moving brands earlier in the presentation, and they really helped us to ensure that the new units we were writing were up to date and relevant to industry needs. So the term "this course is subject to validation" merely refers to the fact that we've updated it in the last year. So when we printed the prospectus, the validation process hadn't been finished. So we've now finished the validation process, and we're ready to go for the new year. And we're really excited about the subjects that we've got on offer, the new units that we've written, and the fact that we've got really up-to-date industry relevant courses. Okay, so Diana Messina has asked how it would be assessed. As I understand, we won't have exams. It will be more like assignments in different projects, right? So how will those be assessed? Brilliant question, Diana. That's really it's given me an opportunity to talk about our assessment process. So our assessment process is this: we have a unit. Across the space of that unit, you will be given tasks. Some of those tasks might be create a film, or research this subject, respond to it, create a piece of work out of it. But they will all be practical, and you will create a body of work, right? And that body of work will be created across. So it's not created in the last week of the unit. You'll get given tasks across the space of the unit. We have a formative assessment point, which normally happens at the end of the unit. It normally happens halfway through the unit, and you'll get feedback, formal written feedback on how you are progressing within that unit. And that really is designed to feed into the work that you produce in the latter part of the unit. And then at the end of the unit, you will submit a body of work, right? Normally it will be a portfolio of outcomes. On advertising and brand design, we ask the students to produce a digital presentation, and we also ask them to produce a body of research that is outlined in a blog. But it will be different from course to course, but it will be a body of work which will include final outcomes and research work. And then that work will be assessed normally by 2 members of staff against criteria that will be given to you. Sometimes we will ask you to present that work, so you explain it. I've just had the Moving Brands presentation. The Moving Brands presentations yesterday. It was an assessment presentation, so the students presented their work to us. They presented their work to Moving Brands. Moving Brands have given some input, some feedback, and we've filtered that into the feedback that we give the students. And then you will be given a grade. Our grading system is A to E, and A, B, C, and D are a pass, and below a D is not a pass. An A is a first, a B is a 2-1, a C is a 2-2, and a D is a third. Hopefully that answers your questions, quite detailed. Well, what resources? So Nathaniel asks, what resources and opportunities are there for obtaining work experience during the course? Okay, so I told you that we have, sorry, I keep getting this phone call. It's a delivery that's meant to be, sorry, apologies. My phone keeps going off because we're having something delivered and they weren't meant to come yet. But I'll carry on with the presentation. So it's just slightly distracting. So you say, what resources and opportunities are there for obtaining work experience during the course? So one example is joint projects that we run with design companies. So I talked to you about the project that we're running with Moving Brands. All of the courses run projects like this where you will get given a task, we'll work with an industry partner, and that industry partner will offer a work experience as a reward or a prize at the end of the project, and which is what has happened with us. We also have the Connect Awards. So the Connect Awards happen during the second year of our course, and that is a series of opportunities where work placements will be offered and you will need to pitch for the work placements. The other thing that happens within courses, I know we have it on our course, at the end of the first year we will give you support tutorials and help you apply for work placements that you would do in the summer between the first and the second year, and we also do it in the summer between the second and third year. Most of our students, probably 95% of my students, will have done some sort of work placement by the end of the course. That work experience part is only a very, well, not a very small part, it's just one part of our employability strategy. So our employability strategy encompasses a whole range of different, what we call work-based learning experiences. And what they are is lots of different ways to work with industry. So a work experience is one way you can work with industry. We also have live projects. So this morning our students on the advertising and branding course presented to WWE, the World Wrestling Federation, and they had a cash prize for that project, and their work will be used by WWE. So that's a really great thing to have in your portfolio. This year, all of the projects within year 2 of the advertising and branding course have been set by industry. So we've worked with Lecture in Progress, which I showed you. We also worked with Shelter, and we've also worked with the Science Museum on live projects. So yeah, so there's lots of different ways that we work with industry. We've also got, like, so for example, we've got a project at the moment that some of my second years are working on, where a design company came in and briefed our students on something that they needed for their design company. So it was a social media, piece of social media strategy, and they also needed their website designed. And a group of our students went and pitched ideas at the design company, and they'll be paid for that job. So I think the answer to your question is work-based learning feeds into every single part of the course, if I'm totally honest, and particularly in the advertising and branding course, the second year is really focused around work-based learning, and we have a unit called Life Projects, and we support our students in doing work placements between the first and second year and the second and third year of the course. I hope that answers your question. Okay, yes, thank you. Brilliant. So Diana has another question. So what would you suggest to read about before starting the advertising and brand design course? Any books that might be helpful? Wow, okay. Well, I've written a book. I wrote a book called Communication Design, Insights from the Creative Industry, which is available on Bloomsbury. I'm not trying to plug my book, but I think that that book sort of outlines many. It is the research that informs the design of the advertising and branding course. So if you could read, if you got a chance to have a look at that book, that would be great. You will be sent a reading list, I think in August. So rather than me going through every book now, there will be a very, very detailed reading list that you will be sent through of all of the sort of key texts that inform the beginning of the course. But the one thing I would say, the thing you could really do, which is really easy, is to sign up to Lecture in Progress. Have a really good explore of Lecture in Progress, because Lecture in Progress has loads and loads of really interesting, brilliant resources, films, everything on there. And also to have a really good look at Creative Review, the Creative Review website or the Creative Review publication, it doesn't really matter which. And have a really, really good look at Campaign, Design Week, and It's Nice That as well. So there's lots of sort of online resources that you could look at, and I think before we send you a very formal mailing list, I think it would just be really good for you to familiarise yourself with the design and advertising press. So the two key ones are Creative Review and Campaign. Okay, let's look, see if there's any more. So I'm just checking to see if there's any questions that I haven't answered. I think I've got all of the questions actually. So I can now go and see if my delivery hasn't been turned away. So I suppose really great to meet you all. I think there is a question here around why we should choose Ravensbourne, which I answered. But I think actually just leaving you, I think I'll leave you with another reason for applying to Ravensbourne. Is because at Ravensbourne we care about each individual one of you, and if you contact us, we'll get back to you. And we're not at a scale as other universities are in London, where we're not able to really think of you as individuals. We're a small university. We're a fraction of the size of lots of the other universities around us. And what that means is it creates a very different dynamic. I know all of my students by name, and I know what's going on in their lives, and they know that I'm available to speak to them if they have problems or if they have a question. And I think every one of the course leaders within design practice would tell you that. And so as you're sort of thinking about preparing for the course, I would really recommend, if you have a question, email us, and we will get back to you. If we know, particularly you're an international student who is thinking about coming on the course, but any of the students that are coming onto the course, if you email us, we will get back to you, and just mark the email question from a new student, and that immediately goes to the top of my priority list. So yeah, please get in contact if you have any questions, and this is obviously one opportunity that we've had to answer your questions, but we can make others. We want you to be 100% ready and prepared when you come here, because when you come here it will be challenging, but it'll be challenging in a really, really good way. We'll make sure that you have lots of really exciting experiences around industry, and by the end of your 3-year engineered journey, you'll be ready to go and take up your places along with our other alumni, like, you know, one of the vice presidents of Apple is Apple Design is a Ravensbourne alumni. Jay Oscarby, who designed the Olympic torch at the 2012 Olympics, is a Ravensbourne alumni, and the wedding dresses of what's her name, Meghan Markle. I'm not into wedding dresses and fashion, but both of Meghan Markle's wedding dresses were designed by Ravensbourne alumni. So our students are out there and they're doing it. Okay, really great to meet you. Please get in contact with us if you need anything else. Thank you very much.